there we're all here, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Heat Army podcast. It was just meant to be me, but I've just clicked everybody in. Right, you know the score, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Like and subscribe. And if you're watching on Instagram or if you're watching on Twitter, get over to YouTube, because that is where you can send us messages like Christopher Story has. He's put evening, lads. And so it's John off and so is Grace. So if you'd like to be like them, please do get involved that way. But before we go any further, a big thank you to our sponsors, Northern Print Solutions. Anyway, it's on my face, and Patrick is on Dan's face, and of course that brings us into welcoming Dan to the show tonight. Hello, Dan. How are you doing?
Hello, not too bad, thank you. Thank you very much for having us on.
Not bad. Let's see if Dan looks a little bit lethargic. It's because he's had a big palmo before he came on tonight. Was it a bolognese palmo?
Yep, that's the perks of living in a TS postcode area for you.
I've never actually had one. What is it? I know it's chicken, but what is it?
Chicken fillet.
Yeah, chicken fillet, breadcrumbs, bechamel sauce, and a whole lot of cheddar. And you can get various toppings. So I went for bolognese, but sometimes go for pepperoni. You get hot shot ones. You can get like fungi ones. So yeah, if you're ever down this way, just take your pick. Maybe
you know what it is. I've lived a sheltered life. I've heard about them, but I didn't know what you could actually get with them. But as I say, obviously we've got Davey here and Mickey as well. Davey actually in the flesh on TV.
Whoa, not too much in the flesh. Yeah, absolutely.
Driving up the A1.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what, I was in that open boat on Wednesday. God, it was cold going across that North Sea. Oh, but I'm glad I got off. I got away from before the next bad spell of weather, which is hitting us now, isn't it?
It is. We'll get into that later on, obviously. I mean, but we've got a couple of topics. I've got a few things lined up that the boys don't know about. I'll give you a little flash of this. Has anyone seen this news today?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So we'll get into that. We'll get into that later on.
I saw Dan's unsavory comment about it as well.
I didn't know there was one of them. And also as well, there's this that I was put up, and I was thinking about it a little bit, but obviously it's FA Trophy weekend. We're going to get in the mood for the FA Trophy. But Boiler Sports, as I said, Thomas Boyle, he put up about the players we have available this year, because obviously last year we were down to skin and bone, weren't we? And there's only Adam, Kane, and Knight unavailable. Everybody else, Beach, Bond, Constantine, Grayson, Hunter, Job, Richardson, Story, Tinkler, Booty, Evans, Francis, Hannon, Tassani, Ollie, Panny, Stock, Whelan, Warman, Allen, Brown, Denanga, and McBride. Obviously not going to get ahead of ourselves, because obviously you've got to play the game, but it's an embarrassment of riches we've got at the minute compared to last season.
Completely the opposite. It is. It's completely the opposite of last year, where, as you said, we were down to skin and bone, weren't we?
Oh, certainly were. Before we go into those topics, though, we do have the game to talk about from this week. A hard-fought win. Hard fought because we couldn't get the ball in the back of the net. We hit the post a few times and made the keeper work a little bit, but it could all end with penalties. But we've got Charles Woff's message there. I'll get through some of these before we go into the highlights. Sean Parry, good evening, lads. And we've got evening, gents. Still can't believe we didn't win against Eastleigh. A good point, probably considering how well Eastleigh defended. Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it. Evening all. We've got Northern Beast Media as well. Everyone, Ken and Steve. Right, let's get the highlights on. I'll put us there, so we're in the bottom there.
Here we are. Look at this.
It was, one of them games. They come up with a purpose of not conceding. That was their, I mean, the formation was just two banks of orange shirts with one man left up top, wasn't it? Most of the time, but it's one of them things where you go, did they play well? They probably did for their tactics, but it wasn't entertaining, was it, lads?
I'll tell you what game it actually reminded me of. Do you remember when North Therapy came up a few years ago and beat us 1-0, and we just did like some of the chances we were missing that game? I was getting like severe flashbacks to that night, but thankfully, the result was a little bit better at least.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the positives were we kept going, didn't we? That was the thing. And I'm not. when we put under Mike, we would stick to our principles and our process, and stick to passing the ball around. Now we've got a little bit of a different option, especially with DeJon Brown coming now, and Kane Adam, that we can maybe push a little bit harder in a different way in the dying 20 minutes of the game, when we in the past we maybe didn't have that.
It's a compliment in a way.
Yeah.
They've come here, and I was watching it because when they were attacking, it went to 4-4-2, but then it was 4-4-1, 5-4-1 when they were defending.
Mm-hmm.
That tells me they come for a point. Yeah, they got that. The goal they got was absolutely class, and their manager got off it with a penalty. It was the least we deserved, was a draw.
Yeah, I mean, if you see it in the replay, I mean, I spotted it in the commentary. Mark thought it was a handball, I think it was, but he didn't see the push. I seen the push, but I mean, maybe you could see it was a soft penalty. But the letter of the law, he pushed him down in the back. It's it's foul off the ball in the box. It's a penalty. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's
David, you said it at the top of the show before we started. Sorry, they came up 4 points. They were absolutely delighted to take the lead, because then they just had to defend. It was like damage limitation the entire 90 minutes. Like, after what? Come on, we've stuffed them, not just beat them. We've absolutely hammered them a couple of games recently. So I think they were just coming up and just hoping they were going to get away with a 0-0 or 1-1. So I think they were the happier team to go home with a point.
I think we all know. Like, I think Dan probably said it best before we came on air, when we played Barnet, and Barnet were a bit more attacking. It played into our hands to get on the counter and try and open them up. But they came up with just to stagnate, didn't they? They didn't want to didn't want to push out of the shape that they had, and I think trying to think of the word to describe it. I mean, it's beautiful.
Spoiler tactics.
Beautiful trick. Yeah, spoiler tactics.
Anti-football.
I looked at you look at some of the players like they had, like Jake Taylor when he got forward. You had Scott Quigley, who they didn't use to affect as a target man. And you think to yourself, they had some pace in that side. If they had went for it, they probably could have got in behind. They could probably get in behind any team.
But the lad who scored the goal, Baldwin's a really good player as well. He was at Notts County.
Yeah,
great goal. Hey, what did anyone? I mean, you three lads, or anyone who's listening tonight, to see the stats for the game? I'd love to see the stats for this game.
I think we had. I'm sure we had like it was something somewhere between like 10 and 15 corners or something like that. It was mental. And I think they only had like a couple, and obviously one of them have eventually made count.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mickey, how did your heart cope when we nearly scored from a corner in that first half?
Well, to be honest, I was still in shock when we actually scored the equaliser.
You can hardly speak now. This is after the event.
Well, we had two where we had two decent corners. I mean, we've only been waiting 5 years.
That's it for the next 5 years.
Nah, to be fair, I mean, we've got a couple of corners away from home where, I mean, Oldham was the main one when it's dropped the Louis. So...
that was close. Good chance that
was a hell of a save. That, to be fair.
Yeah, fingertips. He knew it as well.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a bit in here where when DeJon Brown, I think it is, on the edge of the box.
It's near post.
And he nearly stands on the bar, and he stands up and says he got an electric shock. I was killing myself laughing at the game.
But my initial reaction was, "Oh my god, has he injured himself?" Because he's just like elastic. He just got up straight away, like it's like,
yeah.
Wow. But obviously, there's the foul, and you'll spot the push. There it is.
Referee did well. You could imagine some referees, especially in this league, not to give that.
Yeah, definitely seen it.
I mean, initially when I saw him put the whistle to his mouth, I thought he was blowing a full-time whistle, so I was getting ready to leave in a huff, but next thing I know, everyone starts doing around us.
And obviously dispatched the penalty really well.
Yeah,
good penalty, by the way. That was a good penalty in the corner at the good height away from the keeper. I mean, obviously we'll talk about it now. The post-match interview, Mr. Hill.
I struggle to see what game he watched. I mean, his players, I'll commend them. His players did really well. What do you call
Stifle gated, yeah.
To stifle the game. They stuck to it. Well. Oh, hang on, I've put the wrong link because we're going to have someone else join us as well.
Are you gonna put the video up of the manager?
No, I'm not going to get that. I didn't want. 1 second. I'm just going to get this from Mark.
Well, Mickey, you can give us the highlights of what the manager said. Go on. What did he say?
Yeah, go on, Mickey.
He was raging. He was absolutely raging. He thought that it was never a penalty. They deserved the 3 points. I'm thinking
his team were the better team.
I just thought you're talking to your arse, mate.
Do you think his players on the bus on the way back were just laughing at that interview, thinking, "What the hell? What's the manager being on?"
To be honest, I think majority of managers now. I think Mark White's probably the only one who's got the balls to have a go at them. Majority of them, it's generic. They'll win it, slag them off in a post-match interview if they've played poor. You get the odd one comes on and says
they followed his tactics to the T though. They didn't venture out of their comfort zone from defending as a fat back five with the 4 in front, then the man up top. They stuck to that like glue, so they were regimented in that. They knew what they were doing. That's what they came to do. The purpose.
They knew their job,
and he thought they played well in that job. And if you look at it in layman's terms, they did well to stifle us. The amount of possession we had, the amount of attacks that we had. So they didn't, but I felt the way he tried to say it was a bit, I don't know. Yeah. And there we go. We've been joined by Mark Curran.
Oh, Mark.
You all right?
Yeah.
What are you doing in the house?
Got nothing better to do on a Thursday night, so, you know.
Yeah. I thought there must be at least an Alliance game on somewhere tonight.
But there is a game. There are games. But, I was going to say a busy weekend ahead, but I'm not sure it will be because where the weather's got to be over the next couple of days.
It's not looking great. But Mark, obviously, you are next to us, and we obviously talked right the way through it. We're just talking about the manager's comments after the game. I can see the heartache for him, conceding right at the end. But I just felt he was a little bit off the mark on it. And I'm not saying that because we got something back from it. I still think maybe he was just trying to build his players up with more of the comments than anything else. But it just, I don't know, there's too many holes in it for what we've seen that night.
I think, firstly, I don't really think there's anything wrong with how they played. I think they came up here with a game plan. And I said to Rob Elliott after the game that, if anything, it's kind of a compliment of where Gateshead are at right now.
Yeah.
Teams feel that they have to play that, or some teams, feel they have to play that way. I think there was possibly a hangover from the 6-0 down at their place, and maybe, being wary of opening up too much against Gateshead. But yeah, I think it was just more frustration. The penalty, if I'm honest, I think we both said, Dave, that we didn't really know what it was for.
I think the highlights back. I said it was for the push straight away.
I think it may well have been a handball,
Was it?
A few have said for handball, but the fact we're having that debate shows that it, it's not. It wasn't 100%.
I think it was Stonewall. It was blatantly obvious to me. All penalties for Gates are Stonewall. It's the ones against us that are controversial.
I would like to see your blood pressure if that was given against us, Mickey. Your head would have went bright red.
I like this one. IKEA do a flat pack, Eastleigh. The IKEA do flat packs, Eastleigh do flat. But no, I'm not being funny though.
It would have been criminal if Gateshead didn't get something from the game. Absolutely criminal.
I did see a message we've got here. Apparently, we had 77% possession in 16 corners to their 1.
Wow!
Didn't they score from that one? Didn't it come from a corner?
The clearance went over to them. It clinical from that point of view, for their point of view on that. But, it was. But I mean, we'll take away that game aside. Look at the run of the last 3 games to get us to 7 points out of playing Barnet, Southend, and Eastleigh. Unbelievable. you know, especially with the new faces that have come in and fitting into place and settling in.
Well, I said that to Dan before the game, didn't I, Dan? I would take a point tonight.
Yeah, and I think the other sort of thing we said is if it had been the other way around with the Southend and Eastleigh games, if we'd have drawn 1-1 at Roots Hall, but then beaten Eastleigh 1-0, like nobody would have really like sort of batted an eye to it. It would have been like maybe even would have possibly looked rosier, but at the end of the day, it's the same. It's the same point total. You've got the same number of goals, and look, there was a lot of positives from both games, and I think like we are maybe starting to see like players slowly, like the new players slowly but surely gelling, adapting to the system. I thought all three subs when it came on Tuesday night made a really like positive impact.
Yeah, I'll agree with that as well.
Yep.
As I say, that just the way we can change the game from substitutes as well now is nice. And then, well, I think you mentioned in commentary a couple of times, you've still got potentially Ollie to come back and Tinkler as well. And that midfield that we've got is a bit of an embarrassment of riches at the minute because 2 or 3 players are going to miss out in a game now, or starting lineup anyway. So it's a complete, and we obviously mentioned earlier on about the squad that's available for the FA Trophy games now. It's a massive difference to last season's. Not that that guarantees anything. Still got to turn up on the day, but yeah, it's a nice problem to have. Which players do you start?
I think it's always been a position of strength. I think in midfield for Gateshead for a good few years now. You can go back to. So when Steve Watson was there, when you had Tom White come through and Greg signed, and you had several options in there. It's just continued right the way through to now. And shouldn't forget Regan Booty could be back on Saturday as well. I know he's obviously back from suspension. Did you see that stat today as well about Regan that he's made the second most passes into the final third in the league? Yeah. So that I think that kind of shows. Whereas
corners,
I think he's non corners, is he?
No,
he's
joking.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it's obviously like it's not that you couldn't put that stat in, but I mean, I'm just looking at it and you just think, who gets dropped for that? Because we've had Evans come in, who I think again grew into the game, wasn't probably the best of situations for him because of his physical size. And he'll obviously relish running at a defence and running into a team, getting the ball, where a lot of it was pass and move, and he's up against physical, more physical players around him. But it'll be fantastic learning for him in that as well, because later on in the game, he did find that space and he did open up.
Yeah, I thought he was good. I thought he had a good game, to be fair. I thought McBride was excellent in the first half, then tailed off. I thought him and Kenton and Whelan linked really well in the first half. I mean, Kenton was having a good game again, and unfortunately he's got an injury. And I think when they made the substitutions are working in our favour as well. So I like to look at Evans, to be fair.
I've seen in the post-match that they think that they might have got it in time, Kenton's injury, but I'm sure they'll not rush him back at all from that. But just said he felt the niggle, and I think it's more precautionary to get him off than tactical, I think, at the time. But hopefully he's back in contention very soon. I wouldn't probably risk him this weekend.
No. Yeah. What we'll say about Kenton is of last 2 games he's played at right wing back, where normally you'd maybe associate him a bit more with centre half. I thought both games he really showed that he can be versatile, and that he can maybe play in multiple different positions, and is maybe a bit more. He's a very solid defender. I think he's been, since he's joined, I think he's been one of the most solid, consistent performers within that team. But I think maybe in the last 2 games we've seen maybe a different side to him, where he can bomb forward, create chances coming from the flanks.
I thought Grayson had a good game yesterday as well. On Tuesday, I thought he was, especially when Story went off as well. He took up more of a role of bringing the ball forward himself, and he looked good. But the 2 lads I want to mention, I know they get a lot of plaudits all the time anyway, but Whelan and Francis were absolutely phenomenal on Tuesday night. The understanding between the two, the composure, just seems to get better and better for me. It's a joy to watch.
Yeah, I think if you throw Regan Booty in that midfield as well, because Coleman, I've gone completely blank.
Ed.
Sorry, because the two of them prefer sitting a little bit deeper. If you put Regan in to break forward, make those passes like I was saying about that start, it's quite a nice balance to the midfield. So, I just think it's the two of them have been excellent signings. And you think when they first came in, there was a little bit of doubt about them. Remember the stick that Callum Whelan was getting from Oldham fans, I think, wasn't it? I mean, we go at him, and then he got man of the match on his debut against them, which was
fantastic.
Ed was it took a bit longer to settle, I think, but you could see his quality right from the start, and the way he retains the ball, the passes that he picks out that I'm not sure the people in the side see. I just think the two of them have been brilliant signings and will continue to be big players, hopefully for a long time to come.
What sticks out?
Go on, sorry, Dan.
What sticks out for me about Ed is just how sort of calm he is with almost everything he does. Really, do you remember when we played Notts just before Christmas last season? He obviously scored against us in that game, and even that finish was as calm as they come. So I think maybe at times he's especially in situations which seems to be getting a lot of at the minute, where games are pretty tight towards the end of the game, and I think he's him and Whelan really are both exactly what you need at that time. Just someone to just maybe keep things calm, just maybe take the sting out of the game, which maybe we're a little bit guilty of in the first half, in the first maybe third of the season, where we're in those sorts of situations. Just sort of slow the game down, just take the tempo out of it, and just, as we say, see it out for either a win by 1 goal margin, or if need be, see it out for a point.
Yeah, without a doubt. We've got a few talking points tonight that we're going to talk. We've got the blue card that's just come out, which I don't think I'm not that keen on it. Also, as well, I haven't put this, but I'll put a link to in the show details afterwards. Has anyone watched Rob's Giraffe Can't Dance for the Foundation on Twitter? YouTube channel for the Children's Mental Health Week. He's an absolute natural. I heard these were coming out because I spoke to Joanne from the foundation, which is an absolutely fantastic thing, and we know they do a lot in the community for not only sport and helping people, but they're doing this, and it's amazing. And I did give her a suggestion of getting Denanga to read "We're Going on a Bear Hunt," so hopefully that happens. But please do. We're not going to show that on here. We want you to go over and see it on their channel and give them the views so everyone sees it. But that's on the Gateshead FC Foundation page on YouTube, but we'll put a link in the description of this video afterwards. So fantastic stuff. And of course, we're going down to Hereford on Saturday, weather permitting. Let's see if there's any messages that I've missed going up here. Hello, Steely, you were listening in on Tuesday night. Obviously, Mickey and the rest of us were at the game. But what did you think of my cricket and faux pas on commentary?
What's he said, Mark?
I follow Mark on Twitter, and I'm a big cricket fan as well, a bit like Mark. So when you started going into it, I was thinking, right, dig yourself out, Davey, dig yourself out. You were getting deeper, going on about like fast spin bowlers in the West Indies. And I was like, oh my god, what's he doing?
The ball spun and it bounced and spun out like some spin bowler. And I went, the balls went out like a West Indian spin bowler there or something. And he goes, West Indians don't have spin bowlers. I was like, I don't know.
I didn't necessarily say it was more the fact that that's not really what they're famous for.
No.
Famous for big physical.
The Indians and the Pakistanis are renowned for the spin bowling. Exactly. There's only really Carl Hooper could spin.
Would probably let you off, Davey, if it wasn't for the fact that England are in the subcontinent at the moment, and all the talk is about spin bowling. I was thinking, come on, Davey, get this right.
Honestly, I just had to soak it up like a man. But Mark,
I'll not mention mid on silly point. And
Mark kept you right as ever.
To be honest, Mickey, Davey makes a lot of silly points. So
oh, lovely to have you all here. Of course, we're broadcasting free tonight on Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube. Please come and join us on YouTube, and you can send your messages in like everyone else has. I'm just making sure I haven't missed any out.
You were very calm for the equaliser, by the way, for the penalty, Davey. Were you a bit tired by that stage? You know, it was getting on a bit, you know?
I think it was just more of a case of relief. Brian Laura. Yeah, so the only thing I know about is that he was dating a girl from Durham, Brian Laura. That's all I can remember about him. Nothing about
who's the modern day Brian Laura? Laura? It's not you.
Certainly not.
He bats, by the way, Davey.
Yeah.
Can I change it a bit? Come back to Hanno. Did you read his program notes?
No. What does it mean?
When he says he was on about coming to university when he got released from Cambridge. He says, I looked at my options. There was Loughborough, somewhere else in Newcastle. He says, I just went for the one with the best nightlife.
I think that was like a headline.
Because done that over the years.
They put it out online this week. Obviously, since it's been in the program, and it was what was it? I was in Ibiza when I got the phone call, and then he put up a picture of someone like absolutely drunk as a skunk. I got it. Yeah. Actually, we have got another one here, and I did see this, and I meant to go back to it. Thank you, Paul. He's put last shout out the Gated under 16 girls who play at home on 11 a.m. Kick-off Sunday against Concert for all those who want to get the next gen coming through. So, is that a home game, that one? Paul, let us know. I'm guessing it is. Oh yeah, it says play.
It can literally say play at home like.
Hey, you're on form tonight, Davey.
So if you want to get in your West Indian spin bowlers,
might actually pop down because our lasses are playing against Washington on the Sunday afternoon as well at home. So I might actually
how good are Washington, Mickey?
But mid-table. So a bit at their place, so benches on the cards
for the ladies. So if you fancy a double header down there at the 3G pitches behind Gated Stadium, get yourselves.
I hope there's free heaters because it was absolutely Baltic there on Sunday.
You could barely feel our heat. Could you, Mark, on Tuesday?
No, God, no.
You got the odd little warmth, and then the gust just took all the hot air out.
Wasn't exactly like being in the West Indies, was it?
No. On that note, we'd love you to like and subscribe, everybody. We'll be back in a second. Just thought we've probably lost all of the West Indian viewers as well now.
No, you have. You've lost them all. Me, Mark, and Davey now. I'm not sure Dan likes his cricket, to be fair.
No, but I can. If ever I get steel drums randomly appear on my Spotify, I listen to it.
It's Davey and for backing.
Mickey buys some mint imperials.
Why?
I think it's for your cough. I think it might be. I don't know.
Yeah,
for the cough. Yeah,
coming down with a cold, to be fair.
Yeah. Of course, FA Trophy is happening this weekend. 5th round to Hereford United. Club social media did put up the goals from the last team were there. Jack Hunter and the other name,
Kedwin Scott
with the goals. It's a cup game. We know Hereford have got a bit of a cup history, cup lineage. But if we go there and play our game, we should be more than capable. That's not being cocky. It's just, you know, we are playing well. And, you know, but it isn't played on league tables, league positioning. It's on the day. And they're going to have a good crowd down there. It's going to be about 3,000, isn't it? If not a little bit more. Are you going down, Dan?
Yeah, I'm going down. Yeah, the early start, late getting back, but hopefully it'll be worth it. I've got to say, it's always been a ground I have enjoyed going to. I mean, I know one time I went down there on a Tuesday night, we got beaten in the 93rd minute, so I've just maybe just wanted the ground to open up and swallow us that particular night. But yeah, I think it does. It really is like a proper like old school feel to the ground, like when you're walking to it and what have you. And yeah, as we say, it is going to be a very tough game. Like they're doing well in the National League North at the minute. I think obviously they stuck 5 past Spartans last weekend, didn't they? So yeah,
haven't they got Adam Rooney playing for them now?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, I know they've got that Kuya on loan from York, but I think he's going to be cup tied for this weekend, which maybe helps us a little bit. But yeah, I think obviously it's going to be a good crowd there. There's going to be a good atmosphere. But we've seen time and time again this season, I think Southend, Oldham, like places like that we've been and got good results. It's the sort of thing that our lads thrive on playing. And look, we're not going to go down there and underestimate them or anything like that, because I think you look around that the team and that management, there's a lot more professional than that. So it's going to be tough. But I'd say my feeling about it just now is that I'd say cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. You
got
hope
a very strange away end, Hereford.
Haven't been.
I've been 3 times, and it goes like down on a slant. And if you can beside where they used to have the food kiosk, you can't even see over the wall to see the pitch.
Oh, that was. Remember when Emily played at Wakefield and behind the terraces? It was like that because you're kind of like level with the the pitch. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, and we'll see. But we'll go down. I mean, people can put their predictions in for the weekend if they want to. I know we'll do it for most games. But Mark, I think obviously last year we had a fantastic run in the competition. We look at the squad now, and I had a tweet before. I'll try and get it back up. Obviously about the strength and depth we've got for the FA Trophy now. It's a different kettle of fish compared to this time last year.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think we were 1 injury away from playing, weren't we, Dave? Instead of
yeah.
I think hello.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the squad now and you think it's more than capable of getting through Saturday, even though it will be a difficult test down there. Weirdly, their last 3 games have come against Northeast opposition. So they got beat against South Shields at home, they got beat at Darlington, and then, as Dan said, beat Spartans last weekend. So slightly mixed fortunes against Northeast sides. But look, I think if Gateshead go down with the right attitude and play to how we know they can play, then they should get through. But the FA Trophy is such a bizarre competition because, I mean, you look at the finals that we've had in recent years, sort of before last year, and you look, I mean, Hereford, I remember getting through, I think they played Hornchurch that year. You've had clubs from the National League North have won it. They've got the finals, like Brackley's and clubs like that. So,
Glasgow did it as well many years ago as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a. I think did York win it the year that they got relegated as well?
Yeah. Halifax did it the year before. Did the same thing the year before. So
yeah. So it's such a bizarre competition where you can't really take anything for granted, and Gateshead won't do that though. They won't. The squad's too professional to do that. Having a chat with Rob on Tuesday after the game, he said that they're excited by the competition because now if you get through this one, all of a sudden you start looking towards Wembley. You're only 2 wins from Wembley. I think last year's quarterfinal was at the Farsley game. So it is getting exciting. You don't want to get in that situation where it's what do you choose? Do you want to go and push for the playoffs, or do you want to try and get to Wembley again? That's
something I was about to come on to, because obviously the teams that are left in that are higher up in the playoffs as well, they'll be looking at the same kind of thing, won't they? As if do we want to have the fixture congestion towards the end, the injuries? I think Barnet are probably, you'd say they're going to be embedded in the playoffs. They're not going to finish outside the playoffs. But, there's a couple of the teams where a couple of run, 3-game bad run, then they can slip out. So what do they do? Do you think the teams are going to concentrate on it, or do you think we could see some big shocks this weekend?
I think, firstly, from a Gateshead point of view, I think if we're being brutally honest here, I don't think anyone saw them in and around the playoffs. So getting into the playoffs for me would be a massive bonus. That isn't how the players look at it. I've got no doubt about that. But it would be a massive bonus to get in there. So I think it's just a case of just take each game on its merits and don't set any plans. And, with a good wind, maybe could get to Wembley and get in the playoffs for a season. That would be. But I think it is just purely, it's horrible manager talk, but just take every game as it comes and judge it on its own merit.
Yeah. So it's going to be it's a lovely competition. I know I've seen a few weeks ago people going, what would you rather have? And I said I would never ever not take a Wembley final. To me, because I said to Mickey, I think last week on the phone, I remember being just 90 odd there in the stand, let alone being in a position where you go, I'd rather not go to Wembley for the FA Trophy final than get the playoffs. Like, sorry, no. To me, it just I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't even fit.
The trophy saved our season last season, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where all the confidence come from. I had a good win and then it went on a run, didn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree.
And also as well, it's not massive money like the FA Cup, but if you get to the final, it helps the club, win or lose. The club make money from getting to the final. And, a club of our size can't, knock a gift horse in the mouth. You've got, if it's there, you've got a challenge for it, in my point of view.
Yeah, so. I know we're getting like massively ahead of ourselves, but I think if we could get there again, I think maybe last year's experience could be something that'll help us, like in the prep and everything, to maybe go down and go one better this time around. Obviously, like a lot of players will have had that previous experience. There'll have been I know we all said about how we're. Obviously the situation with cup side players and that, but I'm sure the players will have felt some level of disappointment and determination to put it up and right, and I think that could really help us along the way. I mean, yes, we probably are getting a bit ahead of ourselves because we've got to get past a tough Hereford side, then another 2 games on top of that, but obviously everything with like when you think about it, I think now we probably are maybe better equipped to like maybe properly shoot for it, like we've just talked about with Barnet and like Bromley, Solihull, like teams like that. Still, like, obviously Kidderminster, like fighting for other things just now. Maybe we are in a good position where this could be like last year was okay. Let's get to Wembley and see what happens. Like this year, maybe it's just could even be a case of sod it. Let's just go for the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get good odds off Harry Pritchard regardless.
Well, that's another thing to add in there. I mean, I don't know if has he been charged yet? Is he still available to play, Harry Pritchard? I think there's allegations of betting on football that's floating around. Is he still eligible to play, or is it until convicted?
I wouldn't have a clue. I've never seen anything.
I'm not sure. Did Ivan Toney still play while he was getting investigated?
I'm not too sure. I think he might have been injured, but as I say, obviously it's alleged at the moment. There's been no conviction yet, but that could surely. I mean, if he's a very important player for Barnet, you know how integral he is in that midfield and getting forward into the forward line as well. To lose him in the run-in is it's a big one. That
big blow for them.
Yeah, but huge miss.
Without a doubt. Our friend. Sorry,
Mark, wasn't he your number one on that list? Pritchard, who was the number one today on that list of midfielders who pushed forward?
I genuinely can't remember.
Anyway,
but sorry, obviously friend of the show, Charles Wath. Jack asked him to supply some young pictures of Hanno in his first spell at Gage. Looked so young. He still.
I remember interviewing Hanno when he signed his first pro deal.
Yeah,
when he came in on non-contract terms, I remember going up the stadium to interview him about getting his first pro contract. And I mean, how long ago would that have been now? 7, 8 years?
Yeah.
2016, I think it was, Mark.
Wow.
Was it really? Aye.
It's scary to think
Yeah.
that is 8 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
Time is flying. Charles, obviously, we know what beautiful photos he takes. He took a lovely crowd shot here. And can anyone?
I'm in the top corner.
Yeah, you are. Mind you, Michael Boyle looks really happy in the red with the hoodie, doesn't he? And Trina with the thumbs up there, but no, lovely photos.
I think she's sticking her middle fingers up, not her thumbs.
That's the optical illusion.
It's like spot Wally.
Yeah, a couple other bits of news as well. I used to. I'm not going to lie.
Just to go back to the FA Trophy there, just talk about the experience of, if you did get to the final, except you're absolutely right, Dan, what you said about the experience. I was also thinking of Mark's experience as well. He probably learned from last season never, ever to share a bedroom with you again, Davey. But I'm just putting it out there, Just putting it out there.
Hey, I'll tell you what, the minute this run started, that crossed my mind, so don't worry about that.
Mark, Mark will do a crowdfunding for you, so you can have your own room.
What it is, no. If we get a hotel, make sure it doesn't have a plastic enclosed bathroom, like an echo chamber.
I'll tell you one thing I would say. It's been serious here. I think there's a little. I saw a comparison there between the League Cup or the Carabao Cup and the FA Trophy. With last year Newcastle and Gateshead getting to Wembley, I thought both weekends became about the weekend, not the 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Which I think is why both sides came out on the wrong side of the finals. So I just think this year, if they were to get their Gateshead, yes, they'd be better for the experience, for the preparation and all that. But I think everyone from supporters to players to coaches to anything, directors, it'll be about, right, can we go and win it now?
Yeah, I think
a great experience
prepared as well, for the excitement of the game and not being overwhelmed. Because I think I know I was at times. There was, especially before kick-off, it was like, whoa, this is, we're here again. But I think if you get back in a short period, but it's got to get there. But we take on board. But this morning there was a tweet that went out from I'm not going to say scrupulous Twitter account. I'm going to say a Twitter account that likes to guess, and sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. But I think the adage they should have in their bio is even a broken clock is right twice a day. That's what they should have for that Twitter account. But they were mentioning that Matty Longstaff is signing for Gateshead. Now, even on the face of that, you're thinking, hang on, he's played. Yes, he did play in League Two, but he was on loan from a Premier League club. He's a player of higher stature. But how many midfielders are Gates going to sign? It was just he's a local player. Gates is doing well. Let's link them together.
Yeah, there was mild excitement for about 30 seconds, and then I read Mark's tweets and thought, "Oh, right, okay."
Look,
I said it on Twitter. I think there's someone heard Longstaff was at the Gateshead game, and it was Macaulay, not Matty.
Look, I did an interview with Matty just before Christmas. Is he desperate to get back in? Absolutely, 100%. He's desperate to get back in, but there are a multitude of reasons why that won't happen. We could go into the finances of it. We can do what you want. I know that there's, and I wrote it in a piece, and I've wrote it recently again. There are Championship, League 1, League 2 clubs abroad. There are clubs that are serious on him, and with every due respect to Gateshead, they would have one hell of a battle and have to find a pot of gold somewhere that we don't know about to fight off competition from those clubs. It is purely just, there's a lad who's local who hasn't got a club. Obviously, he's going to go to Gateshead. Well, with all due respect.
Well, you've got the Rob Elliott factor as well, which they've probably added in.
Yeah, and the fact he knows a few of the players as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's Championship standard at best. You know what I mean? He's up there. He can go to a club like that. He's not going to drop down to the National League, is he? Let's be brutal here.
Look, he's when he was at Mansfield, he was too good for the level. He was scoring goals. It will.
Yeah. Matty's in talks with the club at the moment, which is why obviously I'm not going to say who it is, but something probably is. Well, hopefully is going to happen over the next few days maybe, but it's ridiculous to suggest that he'd come to Gateshead. Don't get us wrong, I would absolutely love to see it because Matty's a great lad and a very, very good player, and he'd be a great addition no matter how many midfielders Gateshead have got. But the finances of it just wouldn't work for Gateshead.
He actually nearly did sign for Gateshead on loan, didn't he? But we had financial issues and off the pitch issues at the time. When Steve Watson was manager, wasn't it? I heard a rumor that he was after him to come in on loan then.
Speaking of which, yesterday was 5 years to the day since I was at the stadium for the launch of the new Gateshead Academy. Remember that? Michael Williams doing loads of interviews and.
It was around that time we signed the man, the myth, the legend that is Amar Chopper, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I'll forget that name of obviously what he's went on to do since, but what he did while he was here was quite phenomenal. But
never put a foot wrong.
No, he didn't. I can hand on heart he didn't have a bad game for Gateshead. We've got a little bit of information here. Someone sent this. Jack Bridge, Southend was the number one on the midfield list.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's who it was. Cheers.
And I think we've got a couple of other ones here. This is obviously about what's happened recently. A fantastic away result at Southend. Glad with the point at Eastleigh, who sat back all game. Hopefully, we're going to advance in the trophy on Saturday. Yes, it would be absolutely fantastic if we could.
That's what's up.
Got more messages here. We've got I thought Macaulay was there on Tuesday talking re-signing terms. You know what it is? It was lovely to see him, and you come over to say hello and stuff, and obviously loads of kids got photos with him and stuff, and so did me and Mark.
He asked us for it though.
Yeah, he did. He come on. But Mark, your tweet was genius because I just put, it was nice to see Macaulay Langstaff. I had a photo of him, and then Mark, I'll let you say what you put. I
was pretty drunk at the time, mine.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't know what you put. I didn't see this. Go on.
I said something like, "It's amazing to think since the start of last season, we've got 62 goals between the three of us. We've won at Wembley, got promoted, and we've been linked with big money moves to the Championship."
I saw that.
Yeah. Corking, but it's lovely to see.
See.
Yeah. See, and you know what it is? He was taking a genuine interest in the team as well, asking questions, and he's obviously got lots of fond memories and still a lot of love for the club, and I think that proves he keeps coming back to us. So,
was he still in the stand for the equaliser? Was he still, or had he gone back to corporate by then?
I think he was still there.
I think still lad.
So,
I know he was there to do like some sort of talk for the VIP. He was also at the game against Stockton in the Durham Challenge Golf course. He had a little bit of a spell there, didn't he? But I think that kind of shows what he is like. He's doing really well now, and he'll continue to progress up the leagues. I've no doubt about that. But I think that's maybe shown why he's been so successful, because he's been humble, he's been grounded, he's remembered his roots.
Yeah.
You know what? He's worked so hard at his game as well.
Oh, yeah.
People should not underestimate. I mean, I think I've put the story on here before about during COVID getting little talk bits from the club where they were saying, like, when we come back, like, Macca's absolutely flying. And you always take it with a pinch of salt and you go, yeah, all right, okay. But then turning up to Heaven for that first pre-season friendly after COVID, and it was like, what the hell's happened here? Because he was just unplayable. And that just continued. Well, I was going to say continue that season, but it just continued up to now.
Well, there was 3 talking points from that game. There was the Conor Panny, because we were impressed with him and his cameo in that game, and then obviously Macaulay. But then there was the captain's armband that was on Ollie's arm, and the pivotal decisions that were made early on, have had a lasting effect on the club and the players themselves. So it just shows you, doesn't it? It all starts at Heaven. So there we go.
If you remember rightly, Davey, when he was on here, I apologised to him for proving his wrong, because when he re-signed from York, I did not see this rise at all.
I agree with that, Mickey. I honestly said, what? Why was signing him?
It was an underwhelming signing.
Yeah.
Sorry, just for it was an underwhelming sign, and then I thought myself after he become good, I thought how cheeky of us when you think where we were at the time to be underwhelmed by a local lad wanting to play for us, and it's like, yeah, as football fans, we've got a little bit of sometimes, haven't we?
Yeah.
Gonna see it, Dan?
Yeah, I personally thought at the time when he resigned, I thought, yeah, maybe a good squad player, but probably nothing more than that. But yeah, I think we're talking about that pre-season where we came back after COVID and what have you. I think the game that stood out for me was when we played Hartlepool at the stadium. We beat them 4-1 and just absolutely ran the show in that match.
Yeah, that was a big one, wasn't it? We've got a message here, and I actually seen something today from, I don't know if it was the club shared it from Twitter or from Instagram. Sorry, another message come when I clicked on. Does anyone know what's happened to Tom Allen? I'd like to get a bit more of a chance, having come from a Premier League team. Well, I've seen. I think
he got injured at Rochdale, didn't he?
Yeah. I've seen he's back running at least anyway. So hopefully, he'll get a chance before the end of the season. And there's another dynamic of what you can put up front. So we'll keep it going like that. We've got another message here. This one's from Mark. Can I ask Mark any updates on Tinkler and Ollie injuries?
Well, there was a piece I put out on Wednesday morning, I think it was, about Greg. Had a good chat with Greg after the game. I could be corporate here and say go to the Sunderland Echo website and read it, but instead
you have to subscribe first, Mark.
You don't have to subscribe; it's free.
Yeah.
Well, every time I click on it, it says, "Do you want any more?" And then I click on it, and it hoses off.
You need to clear your... No, I'm not going to say that. Sorry. I was going to make a joke about your laptop, but I'll not.
I never thought of that.
But yeah, I would. So Greg is aiming to be back in training at the end of this month, or at the latest early March, and then is hoping to get back into contention. I think he mentioned possibly the next trophy tie, which is about the 15th of March, I think it is. So the rumours that were people are saying that he's out for the season aren't true. I categorically asked him that, and he denied it, flat denied it. So, you all right, Dave?
I'll put it up.
Well,
and that was the last time we've seen Mark on the Heat Army podcast.
And Stevie's taking the mick there because he's not a big fan of Bowen at all.
Well, so yeah, and then in terms of Tinks, I think pretty much the same timeline from. I mean, this is going back a few weeks now, but he always said sort of middle to late March. So hopefully they'll both be back for the run in. Another one, there'll be a piece out tomorrow and a piece in the non-league paper with Ed Francis talking about his comeback from injury and where he's at in terms of what happened and such like, which will be in the Chronicle, not tomorrow. Sorry, Saturday's Journal.
I know we spoke a little bit about this, obviously on Monday night show, but Ed Francis has kept himself in phenomenal shape to play the way he did for 90 minutes. That's it, twice in a week, and be as important and integral all the way through. It just shows you how much that lad has worked in the time that he was not on the pitch. It's and
you know what? He's massive in the dressing room as well. He's a big player in that dressing room.
Have you been able to get changed, Mark?
He's someone who I'm going to bypass that. Bro, honestly.
Oh, where man?
He's been it.
Trying to make a serious point here, and you're being.
I know. I'm let you have it go.
No, but seriously,
you've been in a hope since Stevie said Bowron.
Yeah, so I mean, Ed, he spoke about the changes that have happened over the last couple of months now, and he spoke about the way the dressing room. He said it's in a really good place moving forwards again. They feel more together now that the new lads are settled in. So it was a really good chat. So yeah, that'll be in the weekend's papers.
It's a good point from Christopher Story. Mason seeing back so soon, those injuries can take up to head injuries, of course, fractured skull, and it depends on the level of concussion that goes along with it. And I mean, I had a mild one that was horrendous. So to see him back out there on the pitch and running about and diving about is phenomenal. That's all I'll say about that.
You actually mentioned, sorry, Dave, you mentioned that, and that the sort of diagnosis he was given was by far from. It could have been a lot worse, put it that way. So I'm not going to say he got off lightly because I don't think he can with a fractured skull, but
No.
The news that he got initially was far better than they thought it would be. So,
Just going back to Saturday's game, someone's asking the question: who do you think will start in goal on Saturday with being the FA Trophy? Obviously, I don't know if Beach will be back from illness, but it seems to have been Harrison Bond has been the FA Trophy goalkeeper this year, hasn't he? So, and you don't worry when you see his name on the team sheet, do you? Like sometimes when you look at a reserve goalkeeper and you go, oh, he's a little bit shaky. Yeah. With Harrison, it's okay. Harrison's in.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just have to.
Who would you rather have in?
I honestly think there's quite, I'd say, a healthy competition for that goalkeeping spot. I think both do push themselves on. I think obviously, I think back to a few years ago. Do you remember when we had Dan Hanford and James Montgomery? It almost felt like 1 week it'd be Dan Hanford and then James Montgomery come in for a few games and back to Dan Hanford. I think it's obviously don't change it as often as we did back then. But I think if we've got two good goalkeepers genuinely pushing each other on, then it can only be a good thing. And if it it doesn't, if one of them can't play for whatever reason, then it maybe isn't as sort of bad as what it maybe has been in the past, where
a little bit like that towards the back end of last season, when
big Phil and Monty. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Ken Webster says Bond for me. We're getting a few predictions coming in. So if you want to get them in now, let us know. Going 2-1 win for the Heat, says Christopher Story. So we've got about 5 minutes left. So get your predictions in. I'll go around the lads. I'll give mine first because instead of putting these all on the spot, I think I'm going to go for 2-1 as well. 2-1. Steely?
I'm going 2-0. Yeah, I think it'll be a hard game. It'll be close, but we'll run us close on a bit, but 2-0 to Gated.
Dan?
I'm going to go for 1-0 Gateshead. I think I think they'll give us a genuinely good game. I think there'll be times where we do have to stand firm a bit, but I do think we'll have enough on the day to just get the tie won, which is ultimately the most important thing.
Go on, Mick.
I'm going to go 2-0. I think we'll get a goal in each half.
Hopefully. Mark, do you want to?
I'll go 3-2 Gateshead.
3-2. Well, we've got we've got 3-1. Mr. Luke Gav has put 1-0. Hard fought game. 3-2. 2-0 there. Steve Farnfield's just gives us anxiety by his prediction, but he's put 5-4 on penalties. Oh no, I keep getting that many messages that keep popping up. There, 5-4 on penalties. I don't want to go into that. I don't think my heart could take it. So there we go. Also, what I've got here, I've learned never believe in anything is going to happen until it actually happens, of course. And we mentioned before, we know this squad, it will be exactly the same. They'll be going into it. Johnny Gray has went 1-0. We've got 3-2 from Sean. Alan 2-0. Craig 2-0. And 2-2 Pens of a win. So some people expecting anxiety on that one. But it's not going to be good. But see, we've got a couple of away games still, haven't we? After this, we're on the road.
One of them,
Wealdstone and Kidderminster.
Yeah, tough places to go, especially the Phil Brown effect. Who's seen that in your National League bingo at the beginning of the season? And turning it round, something rotten, isn't he?
I've nothing against Phil Brown, but if he starts singing on the pitch when we go down, I swear to God, I'm gonna run on.
Yeah, that new manager effect really is having an effect there. But it's not just them. Filed as well are starting to pick up points as well. So the bottom dynamic of the league is changing as well. But we'll get into that in another one.
And Hartlepool as well.
Oh yeah, Hartlepool pick up as as well. Yeah, and there was a few managers in the stand, wasn't it, on Tuesday night watching us? Yeah, so people taking note of Gateshead at the minute. So I'm expecting Hartlepool to be sitting back in the game when they come up. Clue. Mark, thank you very much for joining us. A late surprise. It was fantastic. I haven't put the blue card. We'll get on to that. I'll quickly do that before we go. Obviously, blue card coming up, and what the top and bottom of it is, it's going to be like a sin bin card, isn't it? And is it starting next season or possibly starting next season in cup games?
Well, it's already been, not with the card, but it's already been done in Northern League level with sin bins, and it was one of those where the first few weeks, Dan will say this from being at Northern League games, the first few weeks there were sin bins left, right and centre, and now they're few and far between, I find. I don't remember the last Northern League game I was at when someone got sin binned. So
I think it's just for dissent though, isn't it? So,
yeah.
I used to go
for unsportsmanlike behaviour, isn't it? In dissent now, that's what the yellow card is predominantly going to be. But
let them finish.
Yeah, but I remember I used to, before they introduced the sin bins, I used to see some Northern League games where I'd see players call referees every name under the sun. Granted, now you still get the odd coming together. You still see the odd player getting put in the bin, but it has probably served its purpose in terms of not being so abusive towards referees, because we all get frustrated with them at times. We all disagree with decisions, but at the end of the day, as much as we all shout at them, whatever, we wouldn't have a game without them. So,
do you not think it's more for the top level because of TV games? It'll add more drama of waiting for a player to come back on, waiting for a manager to come back onto the touchline.
I tell you what, it does give the game a whole new dynamic for that 10 minutes or so. Can the team that's still got the 11 on the pitch make it count? Can the one that are temporarily down to 10 withhold? So it does make it quite interesting. And obviously, when the player comes back on it, the dynamic of the game changes again.
Yeah,
I hope it works because as Dan says, no referee deserves some of the abuse we've seen, top level to whatever level, and. For me, I think the stern punishment is if someone is getting right in your face and doing that, then just send them off.
Yeah,
that would have stopped it. Just send them off.
But if they've got 10 minutes to stew on it, who's to say they're not going to come on and clatter somebody? Was there any of that in the Northern League where players, when they come back on, got a red card within minutes?
I can't remember how they worked it again. I think you were able to get. I can't remember. I wouldn't even like to guess. That's how long it is since I've seen it happen.
Cloughie had the best idea. Sorry to cut across you, Mark.
Sorry.
He said years ago that if a player is given a referee a load of dissent, not only send the player off, but find the manager, and it'll stop. It'll sharp stop.
Yeah, unless the player doesn't like the manager.
Well, there's that as well, but you know what I mean.
Of course, yeah. Sorry, I haven't read up on it, but what happens if someone is sin bin for 10 minutes and there's only 2 minutes left? Does that mean next appearance?
There have been some good points made, like the whole thing of what if a goalkeeper gets sin binned, and I think it's if a goalkeeper gets sin binned, then are they allowed to substitute a goalkeeper for an outfield player or something like that? I can't remember how it worked. I could have just made that up out of nowhere.
But how could you substitute them back? Would you bring them back on, or is that just then you're permanently down to 10 men? So yeah, it's a strange one. We've got there. Not a big fan of, not a fan of the blue card coming in. Really, we'll see
what happens in the North East Christian Fellowship League if a player gets sin binned. Do they have to go in the booth and talk to the vicar, or?
Yeah.
That is the best
comment your sins.
I had on the Heed Army podcast. Well done, Dan. That was fantastic. We'll wrap it up there. We'll leave it with the Lord, our Saviour, and Dan Bell's wise words there. Dan, thank you very much. Before
pleasure.
Steely, Mickey, and of course Mark. We'll be seeing you next time. And hopefully we'll be talking about the possible quarter-final draw on Monday. But until that time, we'll not count the chickens, and we'll just get through it. And if you're going down, safe travels. Let's hope the game's on with the weather. And thank you very much, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.